Pro Wrestling Junkie fans! I am longtime independent wrestling fan Robert. I finally got to experience Pro Wrestling Junkie live as they presented March of Champions. A great show title, I have to say, and for them to kick off their second year in existence, because they began back in early 2025, wow. It's not just hype. This very show was action packed. All right, well, here we go. I get in the building, and it was cool to see. I don't know if it belongs to the building, the Mecca, a podium where a gentleman was standing. And he had a list of names that had already purchased tickets online and such. I don't know. I gotta say it, Gilbert. Especially when I saw that not blueprint, but that like diagram of where all the tables were positioned. I think that was posted maybe the day before or 2 days before the show. That was very interesting. I mean, the thing is, Gilbert, I think it's safe to say, man, you basically go through every detail, every bit and piece, every nook and cranny, if you will. Couldn't help put on my the late American Dream Dusty Rhodes voice on that one. You know, like every, maybe I'm using the wrong word to say intricate. You know, every bit and piece, like you go over everything, it seems. You know, like, it's one way to, like, cover everything. All right, but, folks, the action got underway, and I walked in the building, and the steel cage was already put up as we kicked off with a six-way scramble match for the Massacre Championship inside a steel cage, where it was scramble rules. We started out with 2 men, and every I don't know how many few minutes it was, somebody new came out. Okay? And by the way, the show was ring announced by MLJ, who I know he ring announces Jersey Championship Wrestling. I don't know if he ring announces GCW as well. Because I know in the past, Sam Laterna, she ring announced some PWJ in the past. So yeah, it was a 6-way scramble cage match for the Massacre Championship. The first entering was the defending champion, Alan Angels, who we remember from the Dark Order in All Elite Wrestling. The second entrant was Dr. Redacted. He was dressed up like a physician. And what happened was, Angels didn't even wait for Redacted to get redacted to the ring. He came out the cage and went after him and started attacking him, and they actually went right in the section in front of me, and I feel for this young couple, they were like sitting in the front row in the side of the room I'm in, and right next to me was a gentleman with his 2 young sons, and what happened was, I don't know if it was because because Redacted and Angels bumped into everybody, you know, we're all trying to, you know, protect ourselves in the crowd, or because Redacted bled, and did he bleed. One of those 2 little boys started crying, and he was like shaken up, and their dad was telling him, you know, I don't know if I guess they decided to leave at that point in time, and the other little boy, he wasn't happy about that. I mean, I think they did buy some merchandise before the show started. But yeah, and that's the thing. I forgot who even refereed this match, but they called for the bell to start the match right away, even though both of them were not in the cage yet. But the match went on, and they got weapons involved, and Massacre title. I guess it's quite a name for a champion. I don't know if that's going to be their version of if that's their version of a hardcore title or not. But the other participants were as followed. As I said, Alan Angels and Dr. Redacted started. And then entrant number 3, Flying Ryan O'Neal. Entrant number 4, infamous Duran Richardson, accompanied by lovely Diamond Virago. Duran, I thought it was pronounced Darren. I know that I've seen both of them in House of Glory. The 5th entrant was Devious Cast, and the final entrant was the bad boy, Joey Janela. A New Jersey favorite and a New Jersey resident. I don't know if he still is in Jersey. At one point, wow, Diamond Virago came into the cage, and Dr. Redacted spit green mist at her face, and I don't know, it was Richardson or somebody else eventually then eliminated Redacted from the doctor from the match. And when he got pinned, I said, And the Doctor is out. Second elimination, Ryan O'Neal was the second one eliminated. I don't know, it was somebody took a Spanish fly off the cage through like a board set up on a chair. I couldn't remember. You know, that's the thing, guys. I'm not like Mike Johnson of PWInsider.com. I don't know how the heck he did, especially when in the glory days of Ring of Honor when he would type down every bit and piece of a wrestling match. But yeah, it was such sick stuff that happened in this matchup, and we had bloodshed, as I said, from the Doctor who got eliminated first. But like I said, Ryan O'Neal was eliminated second. The third person eliminated was Devious Cast. Then fourth eliminated was Darren Richardson. Fifth eliminated was, and Alan Angels eventually pins Bad Boy Joey Janela. Alan Angels defeats Joey Janela, Dr. Redacted, Ryan O'Neal, Darren Richardson, Devious Cass to retain the PWJ Massacre Championship in a six-way scramble steel cage match at 25 minutes, 19 seconds. I think that was the opening match of the show. Okay. Alan Angels is celebrating the victory. He's standing in the doorway where the steel cage, where the door is at. And there was one man, I don't know if he sat in the crowd before the show or he was walking. He had like one of those, I guess those VIP necklaces around his neck with that tag on it. And what happened was that masked man slams the steel cage door in Alan Angels' face. And he comes into the cage and he eventually kicks Alan in the balls. He takes his mask off. It's KJ Orso, or Fuego del Sol, who Angels kicked in the balls at a previous PWJ event. Orso leaves the ring, and all of a sudden, out comes Jay Bougie, who won the Casino Rumble to kick off Damaged Goods 3, Gamble It All, back in November, and he cast in his casino chip to get a shot to have a Massacre title match right then and there, and Jay Bougie defeats Alan Angels to win the Massacre Championship at 41 seconds. And after the match, backstage correspondent Samira comes out and she's talking to Bougie about this and the victory, and also point out that Bougie had also brought his Expect the Unexpected Wrestling Atlantic Tag Team belt with him. And he was mentioning something about PWJ and ETU doing a show together. And he asked the crowd if you want to do some karaoke. He says, when you hear me say everything, you say Bougie. And in the meantime, they started taking the steel cage down, and they eventually cleaned the ring up so they can get the rest of the show going. All right. After all of that, then we had a match that, and we saw Ortiz do battle with Fancy Ryan Clancy. And Clancy had come out to, I don't know if it was the actual version or instrumental version of The World Is Not Enough, because Clancy, I understand, was coming out to numerous James Bond theme songs from each different movie over the years. The World Is Not Enough, which was released in 1999, that was a damn good movie, and I actually thought that was going to be the last one yet. Because considering the villains in that movie, they tried to blow up the world. How much more evil can you get if you want to try to end or stop the world? But back to the match here, and these two actually gelled nicely. Ryan Clancy, I know I first saw him in like 2018 or 19, and Ortiz, of course, was a tag team partner of Mike Santana in the past, and these guys really, I wouldn't say they really like meshed and clicked well with each other, and Fancy Ryan Clancy defeated Ortiz at 12 minutes, 12 seconds, as, let's just say, Clancy channeled his inner jumping Jim Brunzell when he won the match with a drop kick, of all things. Nobody really wins with a drop kick anymore, folks. Up next, another change of pace, as we had a four-way women's match. It was the Nomi Gabby Forza versus the Spark Jada Stone versus Ali Catch versus Izzy Marino. Or is it Moreno? Well, for those who don't know, Izzy Marino, she was the huge Bayley fan that used to dress up like Bayley when Bayley was part of NXT. back in the early to mid 2010s. And funny thing is, I don't know if the bell had rung yet, but Izzy had given the Gabby, Jada, and Allie, or did Jada give them out? I can't. One of them, Jada or Izzy, gave out friendship bracelets, and the four of them were all hugging and jumping for joy. And at one point, Gabby had held on to Izzy and Jada, giving a double bear hug to both of them, and then the action pretty much got underway. Good match, all 40s. I've seen Gabby and Allie before. My first look at both Izzy and Jada, and I think Jada was might have been a show stealer in this matchup. The end result, Allie Katch defeated Izzy Marino, Jada Stone, and the Nomi Gabby Forza to pick up the victory at 14 minutes, 47 seconds. Wow. Damn, those four ladies can go, and the crowd are really eating up this show. Okay, next up was tag team action at long last, as we saw main event, ringleader Midas and Jay Lyon do battle with, representing the Rascals, Desmond Xavier, formerly Wesley of NXT, and Zachary Wentz. Good match these two teams put on, and I'm sure Desmond Xavier maybe getting released from NXT might have been the best thing that happened to him, because he is really showing he can really go as far as he went in NXT. I mean, who knows? Because the Rascals ended up defeating main event at 10 minutes, 59 seconds to pick up the victory. And at that point, they did go to intermission. Thank goodness they did, because I was hungry like the wolf. And good thing I did buy some hot dogs, because I'll tell you why about that later on. All right. This next match was announced as a bonus match, and it would not be aired on the IWTV telecast, okay? As we saw Michael Solar, I apologize, I got his name wrong, as he did battle with Shane Rose. Excuse me. Shane Rose from the New York City area, who comes out to Sade's Smooth Operator. Now, as Shane Rose was taking punishment in the matchup, people were singing the chorus of Smooth Operator. Okay, now tell me, as much as we all love the song, I mean, why couldn't you, sing? How many of you will actually sing it from the top? Sing it from the beginning. Don't just go Smooth Operator over and over again. That's not how the song starts, folks. I mean, that song right there is great. I mean, it was out, 1983, 84? I was only 6, 7, maybe 8 years old at the time. Childhood memory. But the match was as great as it was, and, as soon as I think Smooth Operator started playing, people knew it was him. Smooth Operator Shane Rose defeated Michael Solar at 4 minutes, 15 seconds. Now, back on the air with IWTV, we have a match to crown the first ever tag team champions, as we saw Sinner and Saint. I apologize for not remembering their individual names. And they did battle with Dustin Waller and Kylon King, Miracle Generation. Now I'm sorry, all apologies when I say this. Miracle Generation versus Sinner and Saint. I found that match to be better than Rascals versus Main Event. That's not a knock on Rascals or Main Event. Miracle Generation defeated Sinner and Saint at 13 minutes, 7 seconds to become the first Pro Wrestling Junkie Tag Team Champions. Then out comes Top 5 Dead or Alive, say that 3 times fast, Sammy Diaz, who was announced for this show. And he's already got his gear on. He's saying, I was announced for this. And he said there was no opponent. And Diaz issued an open challenge. And surprise, it's none other than current TNA World Champion and current Expect the Unexpected Wrestling Key of the East Champion, Mike Santana. And the crowd erupted when they heard his music. Always a crowd favorite. And, man, Mike Santana, I'm going to say it right now. Yeah. Mike Santana, who reigned as House of Glory World Champion for over a year, and he's currently the ETU champion. I'm going to say this right now. Despite the fact that he used to be part of AEW, despite the fact he's in TNA, and he's on top of the world champion in TNA, two-time TNA world champion right now, ladies and gentlemen, Mike Santana gives it his all. He does not phone it in or mail it in. You get the point, folks. But Mike Santana proves over and over again. It's like, it's almost, I wouldn't say he can, like, could it possibly be he could have a great match with anybody? But the match was on, and, you know, this was actually wound up being a very competitive matchup. So much stuff here. Mike Santana defeats top 5 Dead or Alive, Sammy Diaz at 16 minutes, 38 seconds to pick up the victory. Santana, after the match, he gets the microphone and he talks about, I can't remember what he said, folks. I mean, everything's a fucking blur when these shows go in the books, especially with the trip home. I'll have more on that later. Okay, up next we had the Women's Championship as we saw Priscilla Kelly, who was Gigi Dolan in NXT, as she challenged the Stunner Emily J for the Women's Championship. Priscilla Kelly came out to How Soon Is Now by the Smiths. That was a 1980 song which eventually got covered by a band called Love Spit Love in the 1990s, and Love Spit Love's version ended up the theme of the television show Charmed. Alyssa Milano. Alright. The ladies go at it, and can't really remember too much about this because I think everybody was starting to get burned out and tired at this point. Emily J, the Stunner Emily J, defeated Priscilla Kelly at 12 minutes, 27 seconds to retain the Women's Championship. And then, up next, then we had another match which I had completely forgotten about, and it was totally changed around. Now, when the initially announced for the show was going to be Eddie Kingston against Anthony Green. Anthony Green, I believe, got injured at some point, and it wound up being, it was going to be Kingston against Hot Sauce Tracy Williams, but then Kingston pulled out of the show, and then they announced the replacement. We saw it was Hot Sauce Tracy Williams went one-on-one with the Octopus, Jonathan Gresham, the lucky bastard that's with WWE star Jordan Grace. Lucky bastard. And by the way, Gresham came out to that 1970 song, Sky High by Jigsaw. For those who don't know, that song goes, stop, you've blown it all sky high by telling me a lie. I wasn't born yet when that song came out, folks. Now, these two boys, it was like mat wrestling one-on-one, old school one-on-one, what have you with this match. A lot of mat work. At one point, both of them, they came out to the floor right in front of me. Gresham and Williams. At one point, Williams, he's going, making faces. At one point, he's looking in my direction. And they start locking up on the floor in front of my section of the room. They were doing headlock takedowns, head scissors on the parquet floor. And eventually, they got to the point they both got back in the ring at the count of 9. The end came when the Octopus Jonathan Gresham pinned Hot Sauce Tracy Williams with the O'Connor Roll. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, it was a move not only named after, but it might have been created by the late Pat O'Connor, who was NWA World Champion. All you young men and women out there, Pat O'Connor was before my time, too. I wasn't born yet when he was NWA Champion. And it's also a pinning combination that Bob Backlund was known for as well. So, yeah, Gresham and Williams, after the match, they're like standing at each other and they gave each other a big hug. I don't know if I mentioned this, but Gresham beat Tracy Williams at, 20 minutes, 39 seconds. And then we finally get to the main event of the evening as we see Laredo Kid challenged the root of all evil, Charles Mason, for the heavyweight championship. And I don't know if these guys were rushed or they were trying to get the show done or something, but these guys, I just feel bad for them because knowing they went up, they were the main event, and they were going on last after everything that went on before them. It's something, folks. Eventually, Laredo Kid came out to rock you like a hurricane. Not sure if that was the actual original version of it that he came out to, but I love that song by Scorpions. Match, Mason, at one point, he tries to spit water in Laredo's face, but he ducks, and then referee Nick Shin caught the water in the unwanted shower, shall we say, which propelled Mason to hit Laredo with a shot in the balls, and then he hit a cradle tombstone pile driver. Charles Mason defeats Laredo, and that's how it ended. Charles Mason defeats Laredo Kid at 9 minutes, 33 seconds to retain the Pro Wrestling Junkie Heavyweight Championship. And Charles came to the ring with the House of Glory World title and the Jersey Championship Wrestling Championship, which he won in early February. Now, there's a lot. I forgot to mention about the Sammy Diaz-Mike Santana match. At one point, Diaz did a dive to the floor onto Santana right in front of that young couple in the front row in my side of the room. Okay, man, there's a lot I have to address. But I'll say personal notes. Good seeing James McGrady, who refereed on this one after the show. Gilbert Rodriguez, who saw me before the show started. Pretty women in the crowd. I think I did notice a few wrestlers in attendance that weren't on the show. The Brooklyn Outlaw, Donovan, Benny Blanco, and Chris Cage. Oh, Bear Bronson was also in attendance. I'm guessing he was helping out, working Gabby Forza's table. I think that those two may have left by intermission, because when intermission came, I actually wanted to go over to the table, but I didn't see the table, didn't see the Bear or Gabby. So they may have left by intermission. All right, let me see here. Okay, I don't know if it's maybe, I'm sure the chairs are property of the building, but I just felt bad for everybody that had to stand for all these hours. They had to stand all that time. Maybe try to get some more chairs from this point on. I mean, I can't. I tell you this: when I walked in, if I could not get a seat for the show, I would have walked out, because I am not standing for a few hours watching a wrestling show, especially with my aches and pains. And by the way, folks, the show pretty much ended at 9 p.m. It started at 5 o'clock. This is why I'm a little iffy about going to shows that start at 5 p.m. This is why I still say all indie shows done on Sundays, they should start at 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. at the latest. 4 p.m. I don't mind. I've done that before. But, I just feel for those who have to, got to wake up and go to work the next day. Kids who got to go to school the next morning. Okay. Okay, memorable quotes. I'm fucking you up so bad. Mike Santana to Sammy Diaz during their matchup. New champ and still. The crowd, when Priscilla Kelly and Emily J's match, I don't know if the bell had rung already, but the two of them are looking around, and they're probably looking at the crowd. They're probably so in awe of the crowd. And the thing was, at that point, when they were doing that chant, I'm thinking, come on, let the ladies wrestle. Oh, we got another one. Just kiss already. The dude of that young couple in the front row sitting on my side of the room, when Gresham and John Gresham and Tracy Williams were face to face with each other at one point in the ring. I don't know if I mentioned it, but I think we had Karaoke Junkie, not only with Smooth Operator, also with Rock You Like a Hurricane, but it doesn't surprise me. It seems like wrestling fans, not everybody was singing and stuff. And by the way, sorry. Okay. Now, another thing to address, like I said, with the length of the time. Now, there was construction happening on Main Street. For those who don't know, that's a block away from the Mecca in Ridgefield Park, New Jersey. And what happened was we were told to wait outside of Bobo's Cheesesteaks, which was already closed for the night, to get the bus, because the 168 NJ Transit bus usually stops in front of the police station right across the street from the 7-Eleven. What happened was the bus, it stopped at the previous bus stop, and then it made the detour and turned around. And I wasn't going to freeze my ass off for another hour waiting for another bus, so I Ubered to Port Authority and then took the train home. It's getting so fucking costly to be a wrestling fan, it seems. And to think, folks, I had gone to NYWC Psycho Circus the night before this, and I didn't get home till between 3:30 and 4 a.m. I don't consider myself a trooper, folks. But I guess that proves I'm passionate about wrestling. Now, no return date was announced, but I know the Pro Wrestling Junkie, they will come back in the month of June. I gotta say, Gilbert, since you had custom-made curtains for this event, could March of Champions possibly end up a yearly show? Or at least bring that show title back? I'm guessing due to what happened at this event, we might see Alan Angels against KJ Orso one-on-one. Let me see here. Okay, we got 4 championships in this company already. I don't know about a new championship to be unveiled. Because I know there were so many changes. I know Jackson Drake was going to be a part of this initially, but then he became a part of NXT. Anthony Green was going to face Eddie Kingston. Green got hurt, and Kingston couldn't do the show. I forgot who else was originally going to be a part of this event before, with all these changes that were made. Wow. Well, I did bring my megaphone for the show, but I think it's safe to say I got drowned out by the crowd. Nobody could really hear me that much. Oh, man. I can't remember. Again, I can't remember everything, folks. I'm just trying to see if I left anything out from the show or anything in particular. Whoa. All right. I think, I also cool of when the cage was being taken down, cool of MLJ to, give away free merchandise over, trivia and these fans. Or as my buddy Randy Corelli would say, these newbies who think they know wrestling. I mean, it's like, if you're not a Pro Wrestling Junkie fan from the beginning, I mean, I can't say I was a PWJ fan at the start because I missed all 3 of their shows in 2025. But I would come back. I'd come back to Pro Wrestling Junkie, but I don't think I'd come back if it's a 5 p.m. start. I don't want this hectic stuff happening again, where everybody could end up having a hard time getting home, or just don't. I mean, I don't know if the wrestlers went past their their times and stuff just to get their moves and stuff in. I mean, I don't know. It's just man. But yeah, what a night of action. And hold on, we wound up having 11 matches because the cash in of Jay Bougie, that wasn't announced, obviously. The bonus match, which is not on the IWTV broadcast and probably won't be on the replay either. And Mike Santana was a nice surprise. The funny thing is, folks, when I got off the bus in Ridgefield Park, New Jersey, I was sitting on a bench on Mount Vernon Street by Main Street, and Mike Santana walked by me. I don't know who that was he was talking with. I mean, I thought maybe he was just visiting to be on a future show, but obviously we found out what happened. Oh boy. All right, I think that will do it. Again, I mean, I would go to another PWJ event, but I don't think I would go if it's at 5 p.m. on a Sunday. But this was great. This was action packed. This was pretty much a huge exclamation point made by this company and by the hardworking men and women on the show. So, kudos, PWJ, 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 PWJ.